Hello there. This is Laura, and today we're going to talk about creative financing and more specifically, give you some ideas, a guide to non traditional financing. Okay. Um, so there is a PDF that we share with you at the beginning of the week. So make sure you download the PDF. It will give you a little more of a framework and some more information. And but this in this live, I want to talk about a little differently about. First of all, I want to share my experience with creative financing, how I kind of stumbled into it, and maybe you can get some ideas from it. Okay, so first of all, I went like a lot of you would. At the beginning of the 90s, when I started getting into rentals, first of all, I was pretty aggressive. I wanted to build a rent portfolio that was pretty aggressive over the next 18 months to 2 years. And I wanted to buy basically a property a month. No kidding. A property a month, and also multifamily, 2 or 4 units instead of single, because I wanted to accumulate enough doors to have an income of $5,000 plus a month, which honestly ended up doubling that in about 18 months. But the way to do it, I didn't have a job. My credit was very new. I was very young, just out of college. So what I did is I went into a lot of the owner financing type stuff, right? Anything from lease options separate, anything from wraparound mortgages, contract for deeds, straight out owner financing, subject to what they call, back then we also had assignable loans left from the 80s. So I went into a lot of those. And then I started tapping into hard money, especially when I wanted to do what they nowadays call BRRRR method, right? You buy, you rehab, you rent, refinance, repeat. That's what BRRRR stands for. So I started doing that, and I didn't like, hard money. Interest rates was outrageous. At the end of the day, it seems like they were making more money than I was, and I was doing all the work. So I did a couple of deals on the beginning of the 90s using hard money, then I stopped. And then I stumbled into wholesaling. So I did a ton of wholesaling deals. And so that was great. However, I wanted to also get into rentals and fix and flips and that type of thing, but I didn't want to use hard money. So what happened? So back in 97, at this point, I was full-fledged wholesaling, and I had a good buyer list. I knew a lot of these buyers, had a lot of cash. And so I decided to partner with them. I partnered with them. So I said, you know what? You put up the cash. I find the property. I get the work done, supervise, and, we split 50-50. It worked. Some of these buyers decided they didn't know what I was doing. So I picked up only 3 buyers or so at that point. But, that was enough for me to get going and start doing some fix and flip. Then in 2001, I said, okay, I want to take this to the next level. And I had done, obviously, several deals over the years between wholesaling and fix and flip and buy and hold using other people's money, this buyer from 97. So I decided to kind of throw it out there, and I did a meeting. I called it a meeting of the minds, and I had several people showing up at this meeting, and we decided, I said, okay, I basically told them, this is what I do. This is what I've done. I've been very successful. These are my closing statements. You see what I bought this property for and what I sold them for. So, you can see there was a great profits and improvement. And I just need more money so I can do more deals, bottom line. So we invited about 60 some people at that point. I talked to title companies, mortgage brokers, real estate agents that I knew. And I said to them, anybody that you know that might have money, please invite them to this meeting, which they did. And then 25 of them showed up that night. And out of 25, 6 ended up signing up to be my first lenders. Now, granted, I wasn't quite prepared. I didn't know really. I didn't even form an entity. I didn't even know if it was going to work, if people were going to actually give me the money, but they did. And so then I formally opened an entity for doing this. And so so all of a sudden I had several $100,000 to go out and shop for properties. So my first thing was, after that evening, I decided I was going to approach some of the REO agents that I knew, and I started buying REO. I could close in 3 days now. I went to start getting, learn about doing auctions, going to auction on the Corta steps and buy foreclosure auctions. I started learning about tax properties. I started learning about all kinds of creative ways to buy property, because now we had the cash which we could do this, right? I didn't have to put any funny contingencies or 3 or 4 weeks private lender or business partner approval. No, I had the cash. So that's what I did in 2001. And then by the end of 2002, I had a really full-fledged business. We were doing over 20 fix and flips at the time, at that point, wholesaling 12 property a month, and accruing rentals in the process. Then I opened up. So originally it was 6. That was kind of word of mouth. I never had to do anything else. So we exploded to about 16 within a year. And then I closed the doors because honestly, the money of his investor kept growing and it was keeping me so busy. I really, bandwidth wise, I couldn't handle anymore. And so we did that for several years until 2007 happened, and then we restructured, but that's another story. Now, since we're talking creative financing, that's what I did. So I used basically my experience doing a couple of deals, wholesaling, and doing a couple of deals with some money partnerships to really bring a lot more money and doing what they call also syndication. So we went into new developments, worked with the city for what nowadays they call opportunity zones. So we got into that, and also we got grants on top of the money. We leveraged that. So we did a lot of things, which started with just having a couple of buyers from my wholesaling deals, funding deals with me in '97. That's all it started with. Now, going back to something else that I did at the beginning of the '90s, I also did a sandwich lease. So basically, which nowadays they call it arbitrage. See, the funny thing in this industry, a lot of time I hear these gurus, the younger gurus, they come up with these names, and I'm like, what is that? And then when I go into it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's what it was back then. Like wholesaling. I never called it wholesaling. I used to call it flipping the contract, because that's what it was. And honestly, that's a more accurate term than wholesaling. Wholesaling, you can wholesale anything, right? But real estate is a little more about contracts. You're actually flipping a contract, not a property. So anyway, I did the subject twos also, which basically is kind of assuming a loan in a way. Back in the '90s, though, we had a lot of leftover FHA loans from the '80s where you could actually assume the loan without qualifying for the loan. It doesn't exist anymore, right? Those loans are being paid off a long time ago. But did a lot of those. And then also I did what I call a contract for deed. Now, contract for deed, I like it because basically it's kind of saying it works like an option agreement, but to me it's a little stronger because with the contract for deed, you're saying to somebody, okay, I'm going to make payments on this property for this amount of time. And at the end of this time, I have the option to either buy the property or sell it. But regardless, at that point, you're going to give me the deed. So you kind of do a subject to, but then at the end you basically change it into a flip or a wholesale deal, right? Because you're going to do that. Now, the cool thing about it also, in the '90s and the beginning of 2000, you could actually refinance lease options and contract for deed. Wasn't that good times? Can do that anymore. So, but it's okay because it's subject to, you actually get on title and then you can refinance anyway. So a lot of the time you could start with an owner to say, okay, let's do a lease option for 6 months. You see that I'm viable and I take care of the property. Then put me on title with you and then I refinance it. Okay. Usually that's a conversation you don't want to have from the beginning. Get your foot in the door first, do a lease option, and then talk to them later about getting you to do a subject to, and you do a refi instead of coming up with a down payment. Other ways, so that's other ways. And then other ways that I've done it is OPM with OPR. So I use the combination of other people's money, being the owner, being a private money, hard money, money partnership, whatever. And then instead of coming up with all the money up front for the purchase and the rehab, I came up only with the money for the purchase. And then the rehab was done with, I think I'll give you this example. I had this property that basically we bought at, I used the hard money. Actually, the hard money lender was something they were financing because it was one of their foreclosures. So they decided to finance it. So this was a $45,000 house. and they needed about $30,000 worth of work. So I talked to the contractor and I said to him, look, I what how much you want to fix it up? So I think he said around $10,000 in labor. So I says, I give you 12, but you have to give me about 3 months. We're gonna fix it up, and when I close and said and done, I give you 12. I gave him a couple $1,000s up front just to, keep up with his own personal expenses. But then the bulk of the money got to the end. So he ended up getting more than what he was going to charge me for labor. So that was a win situation for him. And then now the materials, I opened a commercial account at Home Depot, and I used my credit card to buy the material. I made the minimum payment every month. But doing it this way, I sold the property in about 4 months from when I bought it to when I sold it. And but the good thing about it is that I didn't need to use this much money from the private lenders. So my payment to the lenders were really minimum, and I ended up keeping more money in my pocket by doing it this way, even if I had to pay the contractor a couple thousand extra dollars, right? But the other thing I've done also is with the owners. Owners themselves finance the property. So let's say you come across a house that needs a lot of work, and the owner obviously has hard time selling it. Now, this works better with properties that have been on the market for a while. So that's why I like to scout the MLS and see anything that's been on the market for 6 months or longer. And then I said to the owner, okay, why don't you do owner financing? And this is more of innovation, win-win partnership. But we're going to explain more at the retreat this weekend. So if you haven't signed up for the retreat, by the way, make sure you do sign up, okay? So we basically form this partnership, and you say to the owner, okay, let's go ahead now, and you finance the property. I'm going to go ahead and do the work. So it's a win situation, because if I don't perform, you're going to have a total fixed up property. And at the end, when I refinance or sell it, I'm going to pay you off, plus I give you more. So if the owner wanted 40,000, give the owner 45, but he has to wait 6 months until you finish the rehab, refinance, or sell it. So these are just some cool strategies, right? It's about thinking outside the box here. And I really studied on this stuff. I remember when I got into the business, buying my rentals, I really absorbed any book I could get my hands on about creative financing, no money down. If anything had the title Creative Financing or No Money Down, I would read that book, and then from there, I started really exploring other venues, ran across people, got all kind of clever ideas. And to this day, I still get clever ideas on creative financing. So make sure you download the PDF that we shared with you a couple of days ago. Make sure you attend the retreat this weekend. Amazing stuff. We're going to go deep into it. We're also going to have a creative financing session on Sunday with one of the other coaches. So I'm going to go deep into every single one we talk about today and much more, okay? And plus you can ask questions. We're there in the room, virtual room, but we're going to be there to answer your questions. So if something is not clear to you, we're going to make sure it's clear. So you really need to attend. And by the way, it's free. It's free, guys. We're not charging for this retreat. So make sure you sign up. But now I also want to... about a raffle. We do raffles every week, so make sure I'm not missing this one up, because I say all the time, I messed this one up. So let me pull it up here. It's going to be, and by the way, you have 1 week to claim it, and you need to email to questions@realestateinvestingwomen.com. And the name of the winner is Susan Tucker, and you win a private consultation with a private lender from Swift Lending. Okay, so this is a private lender. It's very competitive, great rates, works with beginner investors as well. But Susan Tucker, make sure you email to Amanda at questions@realestateinvestingwomen.com to get your consultation with a private lender from Swift Lending. So great price here, and we're going to talk more on Sunday about this as well. So hopefully this was kind of got you thinking in the right direction as far as money is concerned. Like I said, don't forget to attend the event this weekend. We're going to talk also about up-and-coming strategies for 2024 that you don't want to miss. And then we're going to talk about steps to do buy and hold, fix and flip, wholesaling, talking about creative financing, give you a lot of more ideas. So it's going to be amazing. I'm super excited about it. Can't wait to see you all. You need to attend from first thing Saturday, because we're going to hit the ground running. The first hour on Saturday morning, we're actually going to give you the 10 steps to do anything we're doing and how we get the leads and everything else. So this is not something for somebody that wants to be, maybe I'll go get some coffee and then come back Saturday afternoon. You're going to miss the most important part, honestly, which is Saturday morning. So I'll see you there. Make sure you download the PDF. Hopefully this video helped you out, and super excited to meet all of you. Bye.